we've already got something on.
Like, I know, we're stupid then. I didn't think it would take that long. I was getting so fancy with my Canva.
I like it though.
Huh?
It's so poppy and bright and
Really?
yeah.
Thank you. I know, I was like having way too much fun.
There's no
It's like, you're just in the zone today.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, what's going on? I'm like, I'm having to create that whole Canva thing. Is that clock slow?
Yes. I think it's like 2 minutes slow.
Sign out, no voice allowed.
Right. Actually, is Joseph here?
He's not, which is weird, but he's probably tired. He was doing an open house on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the listing is out in Barstow.
Okay.
So
It's a bit of a trek.
2 hours away.
Yeah.
But you don't take listings outside your market goals. Just so you know. Hard to service them. So, all right, everybody got notes, you're gonna want to take lessons. The people on Zoom?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, not bad for a Monday.
Oh.
It's a special treat today. Normally we do, Frank does our classes, so.
Would you like the clicker?
Oh, yes. You don't want to be my clipper? I forget how you do it.
So it's this one goes forward and again, it's counterintuitive. You think it would be.
Oh, no, my brain works counter.
Oh, okay, then perfect. We got it.
My brain works completely backwards.
Where are all the men?
I know, I was just saying that we're going to put a no boys allowed sign, because we're in camp, we're just the girl power this morning, so. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tammy Burnell. If you don't know me or haven't met me yet, I think I met Mia and Irina.
Giselle.
Just, what's the name?
Giselle.
Giselle. We met, yeah, saying how beautiful we look today at the doorway. Good morning, Norma. We only girls about today, so you're in the perfect spot. Yeah. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk to you about how to make 100 grand in 90 days. So who's up for that? Anybody? Yeah, I know. So it may seem, right? It may seem like, oh my gosh, Tammy, you're crazy, but I've actually done it. And I'm going to tell you how I did it with a very kind of a sad story at the beginning. So I am about 15 years into my career. And so I had started in LA, for those of you that don't know my story, when I was 19. And then moved to Colorado Springs and had a really successful career there. Got homesick and moved back to Florida. So I thought, well, I'm from LA and everything, you know, I know LA, like, come on, I was born and raised here and it's gonna be easy. And it ended up, it was so not. Like I went from doing a lot of deals and having a very nice business to like swimming with the sharks. And I just like wanted to cry myself to sleep. So I'm at lunch with one of my friends and he is a big, huge thinker, like way out of the box. And we're sitting at lunch and I'm going through a hard time because I had recently found out that my husband was cheating on me and I had 2 kids and I was just like, not feeling anything, like what else could go wrong, right? And so we're having lunch and looking at the menu and he says, Tammy, what is your vision? And I'm like, seriously, Doug, I really don't want to talk about vision. I don't want to talk about like what your big plans are. Like, I'm like, literally, you know what my vision is? What I'm gonna order for lunch. That's my big vision. That's my big decision for today. And that's kind of where my head was. And so we have our lunch and we go off and I'm still kind of being challenged. So I'm in an office meeting just like this and a coach comes in on Barry, actually, it was actually him. And I'm like, that's what I need. I need a coach, because I didn't even, I've been in business for like 15 years and never even heard of a coach, but I was like, I'm in, sign me up. Where do I sign? And so I ended up getting this really, really great coach that ended up being a life coach for me, really. And it kind of seems funny. It's like, okay, how messed up can you be that you need a life coach? Well, I needed a life coach horribly. And I was fortunate to get him because he got me at a time in my life where I was just like, okay, I know what to do, but I can't get myself motivated. You ever feel like that? You're just like, okay, she told me what I need to do, and I hear all these stories and but like my motivation just wasn't there. And so he goes, Tammy, this is what we're gonna start with. He goes, I want you to create a vision. And I'm like, oh my God, have you talked to my friend Doug? Like, you're so annoying. Like, I don't want to do the vision thing. And he's like, well, if you're not gonna do it, then we can't work together. That sucks. Like, how can you fire me? You just got started with me, right? So he sets me up with this little 5-part vision. And he says, you want to write these down. He says, so I want you to visualize where you want to be personally, where you want to be financially, what you want your family to look like spiritually, and then experiences. Now, for somebody that's never created any type of vision, somebody that's just worried about her lunch, I was like, wow, okay. So I basically have a week to do this. So personally, I'm like, I was in the man haters club, so that's a whole nother, like I could spend a whole hour on that. Okay, so I'm not going to, but I said, okay, this is, what I want, for myself. I want to be, healthy, and I just don't want to be full of drama, and I really want to be successful, and I don't want to be, playing the victim of blah, blah, blah. So like 2 or 3 sentences, that's it. And then, but financially, I was crystal clear. I'm like, because I was scared because of double income, and now I got 1 income. And my main focus was, you know what? I'm not moving my kids from my home. Like that's just not gonna happen. So I'm like, okay, I want to make 100 grand in the next 90 days. And he goes, okay, that's completely doable. And then we go through my family and, I go through that. But again, so I'm going through these but I'm stuck on this spiritual one. I'm like, I don't go to church. Like, do I need to go to church? Is that something? Like, I didn't understand what that focus was. And at that point, law of attraction was in at the time. Hey, we have a man. Reverend Britt. Me too. That's so funny. So I was kind of struggling with this spirituality, and it really ties into the vision. And this is why I'm probably going to spend the most time on this part, because I really want you guys to focus on, you can really create the life that you want, but sometimes we're so in that like just day-to-day grind that we're not really seeing what we're capable of, and who besides me can be like completely stuck in the past. You're just like stuck, pissed about, something that's, gone wrong, and like 10 days later, you're still pissed off about it, and it keeps coming back up. So it helps project, that vision for your future. And he gave me this book, and it's called The Power of Now. And if you're a reader, you can get it on audio. Have you read it?
I'm reading now.
You're reading that? Did I tell you
I
to?
need it. No, I.
That's so weird, out of all the books.
Yeah.
So it's called The Power of Now. And have you read it, Arvita?
Yeah.
Okay. I read that book like 6 times, and it was such an eye-opening experience for me. And there's a quote in there that has always stuck with me. And it says, forget about your life situation for a while and start living your life. And I thought, that's my slogan. That's my slogan for my entire life. And I'll repeat that again. Forget about your life situation for a while and start living your life. So that I finally got. And then experiences were, what do you want to do with your family? The reason why I love experiences on here is because there has to be some type of reward, at least for me. Like, okay, if I'm gonna bust my butt for, 90 days, 6 months, a year, whatever, like, what's that big reward that I, get, whether it's a vacation or a cruise or, a day at the spa or whatever it is. You have to have something that is a goal for you, just on a personal level. Otherwise, you're just, working to pay your bills and investment accounts, and that's no fun. So I love those, but the spiritual one was really one that touched for me the most. And so I do all this, and I just do a couple sentences, and I'm sharing this with you because you might get to the point where you only maybe can write 2 or 3 sentences. Well, I give it to my coach the next week, and he says, you're too focused on the money. And I'm like, yeah, but I need money. And he's like, focus on the vision, not the money. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? Because I'm money driven, And he says, I want you to elaborate on each 5 of these things again, but I want 2 paragraphs. Like really dig deep and get descriptive on what you want. And I'm like, okay. And he said, and then I want you to do a vision board. How many of you have done a vision board before? Okay. One of my favorite things in the world. So I'm like, got all these magazines. Remember when they used to print magazines? It was so much easier. And I'm flipping through it, and I had this beautiful vision board. And I would literally brush my teeth and go and read my vision and read the vision board. And it ended up that I, in 90 days, had a $50,000 commission month, which is basically $100,000 now, because the prices were different. Had I sold that many homes in today's market, it would have been $100,000. So you want to know how I did it? You up for that? Yep. Okay. So, oops, see, yeah, you're right, Sandy. This does not go the one. All right. So number 2. How to have clarity in a challenging market. Be intentional. So when somebody says you need to be more intentional, what does that mean to you guys? Anybody? Driven, yeah. So for me, being intentional means that I'm setting myself up for success. How many of you the night before write down what you're going to be doing the next day? One person, man. You're not helping me here. So you have to set yourself up for success. And the reason why I like this is because everybody's good at, when you have an appointment, you show up, right? For those of you that have kids, you know that you have to take them to school at 8 o'clock and you've got to pick them up at 2, right? You're always there. But the problem is that you have these gaps in your schedule, right? And nobody's making an appointment for themselves. And what I mean by making an appointment for yourself, that's when I did, okay, what is my window? And typically my window was from 10 to 12. Because I had to have what? money-making time, right? I had to have real estate conversations, and when was the best time for me to do that? Was between 10 and 12. So that was my appointment by myself. Okay, so you need to set in your schedule 2 hours a day, that's the appointment for yourself. If you do this every day, you're gonna win. It's like literally impossible if you make yourself a priority, which for most of us women, we have a problem with that because every day comes first. I know that's and still holds true for me. The other thing is to stay focused. Now, here's the thing with staying focused. If you work from home, that is super challenging for me. I can make up every excuse possible. Every room I go into, I would rather do that. Okay, I hate to empty out the dishwasher, but if I know that maybe I'm not good at prospecting, okay, this is like in my earlier days, right? And I don't want to make those calls that I'm required to do, I will be happy to empty out that dishwasher like 10 times because that's an excuse. Or laundry, or you know what? I mean, I used to play so many games with myself. I would say, you know what, maybe if I did that, maybe I'll feel like doing it a little bit better. And there was not even in Zoom or anything like that back then. So I'm like, you know what, my nails don't look good and I'll have to do my nails. I'll have to put on, you know what, I would just do all kinds of stupid stuff, you know, like, you know, maybe I should do my hair differently. I mean, just like, I was so messed up. It wasn't even funny. So to be able to stay focused, I think is more of a challenge at home. But again, you have to treat that 2-hour window as if you're in front of a seller. Like, so if you're going on a listing appointment, are you gonna like excuse yourself and, you know, go for a walk or, you know, do, you know, something else? No. So that's how I'm able to laser focus. Okay, this is my appointment time. And I also would put a dollar amount on that time frame to say, you know what? Every time I do this 2-hour window, it's worth a commission check to me because I know my goal for that 2-hour window was to set an appointment. And an appointment to me was a $10,000 commission check. So that allowed me to stay a little bit focused. So every day, right, Norma? You know, like every day I have an opportunity to make 10 grand. Okay, if you do that twice a week, you're doing pretty good, right? And then determine something that I can get better at. So as you're going through your day, you need to ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do today to get better at? Okay, now if you have that 2-hour window, maybe your intention is to stay focused on just expires. Maybe it is to call for sell-by owners. Maybe it's your center of influence. So we're going to cover on how to get better at something every single day. And typically it is basically what you say and being comfortable with saying it, right? Because isn't that, I mean, I know it was my biggest fear. Isn't it the biggest fear? Like you finally set an appointment and then you're like, oh, holy crap, now what? You know, right, Cal? That
Well, I
happens.
was gonna say that sometimes I'm like so excited when someone's like, oh, I am looking to lease or something, and then I hear their situation, I'm like,
Yeah,
that's what I.
yeah. So the pre-qualifying questions and, you know, those are super important. We're going to cover a little bit of that, you know, today, because that's part of the problem, right? Too, you get all excited, oh, I finally got a client, then you realize, oh, they, you know, have bad credit or they don't have the money or they're like, well, yeah, but I don't want to do it until next year. Well, we need checks now, right? So that's always a little bit of a challenge for sure. Okay, so here's where we come into that. Words that work. This is my fancy way of saying to all of you, your scripts, okay? If I asked you to come to a script class, nobody would show up because nobody likes scripts. However,
Yeah. It was a theater major, I like script.
yeah, okay, so Kelly's the exception here. So words that work. Now, what I mean by this, and I'm gonna cover these with you, you can just take a picture of it if you want. If you're in my coaching right now, you might notice some of that language a little bit. It's very much similar to the open house script. So when you are working with a potential client, let's say, I've got a listing lead, okay? And so a friend of mine has referred a listing lead, and she's given me all the information, you know, that their husband is relocating and they've been in the house for like 5 years and she doesn't want to move, but you know, it's relocation and that's just the way it is, right? So it ends up, what would you naturally do if you have all this information when you first talk to that person? You get them on the phone. What would you?
Ask questions to validate it.
Right. So but that would normally be what you would do. What I have found is that a lot of times you don't get the best information and you don't know what the situation is really with that other potential person, right? So the minute I get on a phone with a buyer or a seller or somebody even, excuse me, meet in the grocery store, you know, if I got my this girl sells real estate hat on, which I do have, by the way, I almost wore it today. I was gonna go cash. What the heck? Is how can I help you today? Okay, when you do that, they immediately start talking. Okay, what does that also do? Because they're coming into our room, right? We're coming into where we're the professional, we're the salesperson, right? So they're nervous. But if you get them talking, then they're going to feel a lot more comfortable. So you always want to start with, when you get them on the phone, you know what, it's super nice to meet you. How can I help you today? Tell me what's going on. And they let you know. Much easier. Same thing with open house, people coming into your open house. What do most agents do when you have an open house? What do they, the minute you walk into that open house, what does that agent do?
Are you the specs on them?
Welcome them, and then what else?
I know, I'm sure you're working with me.
Right? You should be asking that most. But is that something that you just want to just slap them with right at the beginning?
Not really.
Yeah, not really, but it's an important question to ask, right? So the great thing about when you use that at an open house is, how can I help you today? They're gonna tell you. You know what? I'm the neighbor across the street. I just wanted to look at the pool. Awesome. You know, or you know what? I live on the east side. I want to buy a house on the west side because my kids' soccer, everything's over here. It's so annoying. Okay, so that's a prospective buyer. If it's the neighbor, then let them go and tour the house. Because for those of us that have been in the business a little while, you do an open house, 1 to 4. When does everybody come? 4. Why is that? It doesn't matter. 30 years in real estate. It's just like, you should just have an open house from 3 to 4. Like literally, because you just sit there for 2 hours. It's the funniest thing. So you don't want to get stuck talking with the neighbor with the sick dog and then all your prospects walk away. So by saying, hi, how can I help you today? You get that, who they are. Okay, then you determine, okay, is that a conversation that I want to continue with them, right? And then your next one is, who is your realtor? You don't want to say, are you working with a realtor? You want to say, who? Who's your realtor? Why would I do that? Anybody know?
Because if they don't have a realtor, they're gonna be like, oh, it's,
Bingo. They can't lie. It's freaking awesome. Because if you say, are you working with a realtor? They're gonna say yes, because they want to get rid of you. And we don't want that to happen. So when you say, who is your agent? They're gonna tell you, oh, I'm working with Tammy over at Keller Williams, or I don't have one. Great. Then the next lead in is, who's your lender? Most buyers, in my opinion, that are serious about buying have already talked to a lender because they want to know what they're pre-qualified for, correct? Now, what we don't want to do is say, well, what are you pre-qualified for? And why wouldn't we say that? Because that feels what? Like,
Invasive and also it's too exact of a thing.
yeah, well, it's exactly right, Kelly. It's too invasive. You know, it's like, I don't need to tell you, you know, and people kind of like, you know, they're a little off guard. So what you want to do is you say, oh, great, what price range are you looking in? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna give you a good range, you know, probably a little bit out of their pre-qualification, but at least, but do you see how, like, literally within 2 to 3 minutes, what have you done? You completely pre-qualified that buyer. How can I help you today? Identifying who they are. Who's your realtor? Can't lie. Who's your lender? And then, what price range are you looking at? It's a great lead-in. If you don't master anything else than that verbiage, you can make a very nice living on open houses. By just doing that, that's how I built my business every single time I changed marketplaces. Because I was a new realtor 3 times in my 30-year career. Brand new when I was 19. Moved to Colorado, I knew nobody, no family, nobody. The 94 earthquake happened and like I had 3 in escrow, my escrow building collapsed. Yeah, so like we had no money coming in and nothing in the future. Now being in our 20s and dumb and just whatever, we go, oh, Colorado looks good, we'll move to Colorado. We had $5,000 to our name, no joke, no real estate license, nothing, and just rented a place. And, you know, the rest is history. So talk about motivation, but when you're young, you do stuff like that. But then I moved back again to LA and then I was a new agent again, but every single time, open houses, never disappointed. Because first of all, it doesn't cost you any money, okay, other than your time and maybe some open house signs. And you can always borrow those from an agent here. So if you set open houses on a Friday and let's say a Sunday, why I like Friday? Friday after school is a great time. Because if you have a listing that's in and around a school, you're going to get that traffic. All that neighborhood traffic, so it's super easy to do. The other thing, Sundays after church. And people are hungry, so they like open houses because you usually maybe have free food. I don't like Saturdays, only because I think families are busy, you know, with soccer and this, and maybe it's family day. But not to say Saturdays are bad, they're both good. What's really working really well now for people, and I'm sure you've probably seen it in the MLS, which I've never seen before on a consistent basis, is new listing, open house, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, offers being accepted 1 week from that date. Right?
Yeah.
Like the last couple months, that's like pretty consistent, which is,
Sorry, there was one this week was listed on 30th, and they said offers should be in by the 3rd of May.
uh-huh, yeah. So what are they doing there for their seller?
Creating a deadline.
Creating a deadline and creating a lot of buzz and getting multiple offers. I was just at an open house a couple weeks ago visiting my best friend who was doing an open house, and she did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Excuse me. And I went there on Sunday, and she had so much traffic. So I was thinking, why would you want to sit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? It's like kind of redundant. If she had so much traffic, and the people that were coming in there did not have agents. One lady walked in and she's like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for us. We're looking for a 4-bedroom. I just bought in this neighborhood 2 years ago. And now my kids keep having more kids and now I'm babysitting, so I need an extra room. And, she says, can we just write a cash offer now? And my girlfriend says, what do you need to sell? And she goes, no, we don't need to sell that. We can sell that later. It's cash offer now. And she goes, you can, but offers are still due, in 5 days. And, she ended up having like 10, 12 offers on that property. So open houses are king right now. And again, if you do nothing else in your career, learn that script and do open houses, you will consistently have 2 deals a month. I promise you. And 2 deals a month at 10 grand, that's $240,000. That's not bad money. Now, the problem with most agents is that you do something for a short period of time. All of you do this. I've done this a million times. You're not consistent. And when you're not consistent at it, you don't get really good at it. I'm a master at open houses. I could nail those all day long if I wanted to set open houses, but I don't, because I've done that already. But mastered that. Farm area takes 12 to 18 months to do. I think that's my next slide. But if you're consistent on it, you're going to win. So when you're starting, I think mostly everybody is new, except you're not really new.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys aren't new.
Just going back to your open house, I was a client of mine last week, with Van Ashton Beach. And she said, why don't you just sign open house over here and get people coming in? I'm like, you're not selling. Why would I want to lie to people? I said, why don't you just have a block party and invite all the neighbors? And she said, let's do it. So Saturday, I had this huge block party.
You did?
I had 100 people show up.
Wow.
Cost me a freaking fortune. But I got 2 leads,
Okay.
which is great.
Well, that pays for itself then.
Absolutely.
Right. And then you still had all those people
And they got to meet.
exactly. And that's what a lot of agents don't understand is just because they're not a now, okay? Because what I'm showing you what to do, you're going to find now, but the fortune is in the follow-up people, and so good job. Because the block parties, you've got a question, Kelly, stretching.
No, I was just gonna ask them, because I had this friend from like Palmdale or something that offered to maybe consider me for open houses. Can I do it for someone that works for a different place, or does it have to be for Kelly?
I'm gonna say yes on record. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know
Okay.
what our company
Yeah,
policy.
you
You can?
hold open houses, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
That's just what I was like going through my mind, because I was like, sure.
I mean, if somebody calls me and wants to sit open house and they're not an agent, which I've done a lot of times, I'm like, go for it. Absolutely. For those agencies that don't know, I'm like, like, what's the difference if they sit your open house or they show it? It's not like they're not licensed and bonded and all that, good stuff. So to answer your question, yes. Yeah. And
That's the
so
only thing I was wondering.
condos are really moving market because they're probably one of the few cities in LA County that's actually semi-affordable, but hence you gotta drive all the way out there. So, yeah, absolutely.
No, we had some stuff here too. It's just, I was like, I just remember like Rich
Yeah.
and Frank saying
The whole
something.
thing with picking and choosing your open houses is you want it in a good accessible area. You don't want to be out in the frickin' boonies. Yeah, so you want to and make sure that it shows well. And, really good point. Before you commit to the open house, go and look at it first.
Yeah.
Because I committed to doing an open house Saturday and Sunday earlier on in my career. The whole house smelled like cat urine. And that's why it didn't sell. And it was so nasty. And I'd sit in there because I was new and stupid and didn't have a backbone. And to go back to the agent and say, I'm not doing that. I was like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was raised, you commit to something, you do it. So I was like, no, okay.
But do your homework on the. open
Yeah,
house
yeah,
And make sure you finance it goes on at least 2 hours before on the same block or the next block over to invite.
yeah, that's a great idea. And then if you don't have that 2 hours, you can always do it the day before. It doesn't hurt either. So that way you're giving people time to plan and invite people over. So great advice. Thanks for that.
I have a question.
What's that?
Message from chat. Might sound very immature. It's like, I never done open
Okay,
houses.
just delete that.
So I never done open houses, so what is my next step if I want to get to open house?
So
Like,
the,
I don't know the seller. I don't know anybody who sells from my,
okay, so
area.
the open houses, you're never gonna talk to the seller.
Oh.
Okay, so you're going to talk to the listing agent. I'm sorry, I skipped over that part. So let me just kind of back up a little bit. So when you want to do an open house, you need to speak to the listing agent. Okay, so your first go around is to talk to Sandy and say, do you know of any open houses? Okay, everybody goes to Sandy and does that, and it's hard for her to divvy those out because that's just something like extra that she does. She's just like, the best thing to do if you really want to get one is call that listing agent and say, hey, I saw that you had a new listing, or you've got a listing that's kind of, looks like it's been on the market for a little while. Would you allow me to sit in an open house? Go direct to the agent. Okay? And agents are very prepared to answer that and say, you know what, they really don't want to be bothered, because it does require the seller to be gone for that period of time, and that might be why. But just keep asking, and then you'll build relationships with other agents, you know, in and outside of our office. So if you can't find one here, call, you know, the Larchmont office or the Beverly Hills or the Los Feliz. You know, start with the Keller Williams ones. I think if you go outside the agency, it might be a little bit more of a challenge for you. Okay, so, all right. Thank you. You're welcome. Don't want to work, Sandy. Just go to the next slide. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, number four sources of lead generation that are working in this market. So when we're looking at, okay, we know that the market is challenging in the fact that we hardly have any inventory. That, you know, something that it is what it is. So sometimes you've got to create your own inventory. So the first thing is, and you'll hear this, the new agents, your golden ticket to success is definitely your center of influence. Now, to define what a center of influence is friends, family, people you know. If you don't have, I know there's at least 3 of you in here that are brand new, don't have my memory jogger, come to me after the meeting and I'll get that for you. That helps build your database. It's a series of like 150 questions, like who's your vet, who's your dry cleaner, you know, people that you can incorporate with your center of influence. So the main thing when you're new is you don't want to call your center of influence and tell them that you're new, right?
Right.
Hey, I'm new and,
But what if most of your like friends know that?
Yeah.
well, they would, but I'm talking as an overall. So the best thing to say is, hi, I'm Tammy, or actually you would say that, you say, just call in to say hi, whatever, you know, I transitioned into real estate. It's a great way to do it. But the challenge is, whether you're new or you've been doing it for a while, is how do we keep calling them every 90 days, right? Like, I feel like I'm begging them for business or so on. The best thing that I have found to give a reason other than, you know, birthdays, holidays, home anniversaries for seasoned agents, but for the new agents is take your top 50. Your top 50 in your center of influence that's within your market area. Okay, so let's say I've got 50 people in my database that are just right here, all in LA. I'm gonna put each one of those into the MLS as a lead, looking for actives, pendings, solds. Okay, and you don't know how to do this. The new agents, when you come into my schedule, I'll show you how to do it. Just listen and absorb what I'm saying. For the season agent, this works great. Listing agent sold, but you put you as the contact for the notification, not the person, because what happens is if you put your friend or family member, they're immediately going to get that notification, and it eliminates the reason for you to call and look like a professional. Okay, so every day you're gonna log into MLS, and you're gonna go, oh my gosh, my friend's house, one just sold for 1.2 million. I bet she has no idea, because it's 2 blocks over. So I'm gonna call her and say, hey, Sam, you've never guessed, but a house around the corner, the exact same model as you sold for 1.2 million. She's like, oh my gosh, 1.2 million, I'm out of here. Been meaning to move out of state or whatever. It just creates a real estate conversation, because let's be honest, it's hard to get that 2-hour window in every day. And the only reason why agents don't do it is because they haven't set themselves up for success. Who am I gonna call? Who's on my list? So when you have your center of influence, you should have at least 3 people to call with a new listing, a new pending, a new sold, a birthday, a holiday coming up, on Facebook, something on Facebook. I mean, all of you are on Facebook, I would assume, right? Anybody here not? You look at it every day. So instead of commenting on something, maybe they had a new baby, graduation's coming up, it's wedding season. Don't comment, pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. You don't even have to talk about real estate. If they know that you're a realtor, guess what? What are they gonna say to you?
We might be moving.
No, they're gonna say, how's the market? Real estate agent's biggest fear. Oh my God, what do I say? Right? You're like, I don't know. You tell me. No, so your answer to that, when somebody says, how is the market? It says, well, it depends whether you're a buyer or a seller. Inventory is super, super low. So if you're a seller, you're in a pretty good spot. A little bit more challenging for a buyer. However, you may not know, but I do work off market properties and foreclosure, and there are some different lending options where you're not stuck in that 7.5% interest rate that I can go over. What are you looking for? That's it. That's the conversation that you need to have, because, okay, it's easier to work with a seller, right? Because it's seller's market. But the buyers, they're like, well, this sucks. If the interest rates are high, so you have to give them solutions. So when you come into my coaching program, we'll set you up, okay, what are some solutions for buyers? Right now, what's super hot and it's just coming to fruition, you'll start to see it. We haven't done this for, I think, since the 1990s, assuming loans. Okay, a little bit trickier, right? But you have, I don't know what the percentage is, because I was trying to find it, but you have everybody that purchased in 2021, 22, that got that 3-4% interest rate. And what did all the homeowners that did move, what did they do? They refi. So there is a ton of loans out there, FHA and conventional, that are at, time to go, that are at 3 to 4%. And you say, well, Tammy, I don't know anything about assumable loan. What does that mean? Right, so it's a takeover. So the confusion then comes in, okay, let me just run the numbers, and we're gonna do a class on this eventually. I need to talk to Oscar about this. So $1 million house, that's the value, okay, of this home. And they have a $500,000 loan, assumable at 4%. Okay, so we got $500,000 left, right? They only have $100,000 to put down. That would be 10%. Everybody following me? Is my math correct? I try to make it as simple as possible. I'm just like thinking, that's a true story. So $100,000, 10% down. So what do we have left? 400,000. Where's that money gonna come from? Second loan. You've been doing this a while.
No, because my question has always been, okay, some banks don't give a second loan. Okay, that's that. And yes, I'm good with numbers, but I don't know how to do I don't know what the formula is. You know, there's the formula. Once you know the formula, it's just punching. So I know there's a lot of houses who sold, like they bought it for 900. And they do have 500 loan, and if they put 90,000, so now they're short, whatever, 310 stuff. Well, what if the house is worth $1 million today? Is it the same formula?
Yeah, it's the same formula.
So they just take over and get a second loan, whatever the rate is, so now they have to.
Right. Yeah, so that's where we know all about first loans, right? We do those all the day. What we don't know and what lenders are starting to offer, because nobody was doing second loans. It just, there wasn't a need. But now there is. So you're going to see a lot more of that, and we will educate you on that. So I just don't want you to be scared when you see it to say assumable loan, and you're like, I don't understand what that means. That is a great thing and a great thing for your buyer. That means that your buyer is not getting a 7% interest rate. They're getting a 4% interest rate. Now, the rates on the seconds are always higher. But if you add the two together, the payment's still going to be way lower, because the majority, the bulk of that first is at 4% opposed to 7%. Does that make sense? Okay. So center of influence, best thing to do when you are talking to anybody is, who do you know? Who do you know that may be interested in selling in the next 90 days? That's what my coach had me do. Everybody that I met. He goes, you talk to people all day long. Wear your name tag, and we used to do that back in the day. And he would say, you know, just ask everybody you meet. You see that same person at the meat market that you go to every week to get this great meat market that actually would have like homemade dinners, and I would cheat, and it took a while for my husband to figure out that I wasn't really me cooking dinner, but they were awesome. And so one day I just went in there and I said, you know what, I see you every week, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I sell real estate. Who do you know? Lo and behold, guess what? His sister was getting married and sold them a house and sold her a little condo. If you don't ask, you're not going to get the business, you know? And the other myth that a lot of agents think is like, well, doesn't everybody know a real estate agent? They don't. They don't. And as much as you think you don't know being newer, they know a lot less. So don't be afraid, because your best answer to a question that you don't know is, you know what, that's a great question. And I'm not sure what the correct answer is, but let me get back to you. That's it. I say that all the time. I go to Frank every day. Yeah. But you know, because things are changing and you're like, maybe not, just want to make sure. Okay, so back to open houses. We covered that. That, I'm telling you, is also the fastest way to a check, because it's a buyer. Now, you must know that when you get an open house buyer, they rarely buy that house. I've had it happen twice in my 30-year career. However, what you can do, and this is going to change once July 1st happens, but this is what I do on my open houses. And this is how I made a boatload of money on open houses. I set up an open house. Then I also book 3 to 4 showings of houses in that neighborhood after the open house. Because when does everybody come again? 4 o'clock, right? So now I've already pre-qualified 2 buyers that have came in, and I said, you know, I understand that this home doesn't work for you, but were you aware that there's 3 other homes that might fit your needs? Would you like to see them? Great. So now I've got 2 sets of buyers following me around in my car, and I'm showing them houses. What else does this also do? Gives me credibility, right? Not, because now they went to maybe 5 open houses. They've met this agent, that agent, that agent. But Tammy, she's like, she showed me 3 more houses, and I'm getting to talk and converse with them. That is the most brilliant thing I've ever done in my real estate career, and it's made me a ton of money. I've actually had buyers fight over the same house because, you know, they're interested. Now, how that's going to work with the July 1st, I have no idea. Open houses also are the only way for you to bring buyers in, where as it stands right now, there's no buyer broker involved. Okay, so this eliminates a lot of friction on the agent, I think, because you're not having to go over that buyer broker agreement when you just met the buyer. I still, you know, you can edit this out. I still don't know how that's gonna work. I've been doing this 30 years, and for them to sign that agreement right from the get-go, even with a great buyer's presentation, I still think that it's gonna be a challenge. And I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I don't know, maybe, you know, the real estate gods are gonna help us all come through. But I just think that there has to be a little bit more finesse in that. You know, there has to be, you know, some, I don't know, just something a little bit better on that. All right, so, life events. Always death, divorce, new baby, and relocation. In any market. So regardless of the market, hot, cold, buyer, seller, another reason why SOI is a game changer for you. Because there's somebody that is getting married, there's somebody that's getting a divorce, there's somebody that's having a new baby, that's outgrowing their home, or relocation. Those 4 always stand in every real estate market. And if I was going back in the last 2 years, every single deal came from that. Now, you could say, okay, maybe I want to specialize in one of these. Well, on this divorce, you have to decide, is that an area that I really want to go into? Okay, because they're not fun. But maybe if you've been divorced like me and you can really sympathize with those people, I tried this because I thought, you know what, I'm going to be good at it. And I was, but what a nightmare, like non-happy transaction. Like what we do for the most part is happy. So if you want to be like miserable with them, then go for the divorce. But it's just hard. And that's me personally. Now, on the, you know, death, that is probate. And again, I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to go into this a lot. Probate. Okay, that's when they don't have a will or anything. So that's a whole class. But you can specialize that in that, and there are classes. And it's a great source of income. New babies and relocation. How you get specialized in relocation is corporations' HR department. So if you have corporations, and there's a ton of them here, you can get with the HR person and get them a relocation package. If you're interested in something like that, I specialize in military relocation. I did this all day long in Colorado. I know how to do it. And then the last one is baby boomers. Baby boomers are up 300% in selling their houses from 3 or 4 years ago.
They're dying,
Huh?
they're dying.
They're dying?
Yeah, it's not, I don't think they're selling to move. I think they're
Yeah.
dying.
Well, I don't know about that.
Even, look, I have my building potentially not baby boomers when it was first built in 1974. Everybody knew that generation.
Yeah.
Most of them are dead, and there's two more, and the only way it's coming is if they're dying.
Okay. Good point.
So their kids don't.
Yeah,
Or
so
people are-
this is, okay, and this is where I'm going with this. The baby boomer is a trifecta of deals. Because I have one of my coaching clients in my VIP coaching program that's crushing it right now. She's done a lot of homework and building trust in community. But here's the thing, you have baby boomers, which are from like 56 to what is 78, somewhere in and around that range. So here's what's happening. Yes, at the tip of that, they're dying, which is sad. But they're also, they're in their late 70s and they've never sold their house. Their house is paid for, right? But they can't take care of themselves anymore. So the kids, like my age, in their 50s, are having to move mom, move dad into a home, right? And what needs to happen? That house needs to sell to provide income for the assisted living. Okay? And then what's also happening, because that generation never sells for the most part. Then there's the lower end of the baby boomers where, no, we went from, condo, small house, mid luxury. So now we're in our luxury house, but our kids are college and they're gone. So now we're empty nesters. So what do we need to do? We need to sell. So you've got mom and dad relocating into senior, they need to sell. I got to take care of mom and dad. I'm doing this. Oh, by the way, we have this big, huge house. We need to sell and we need to buy something else. That is a great market for you two back there. You need to come and talk to me because the gal that I'm doing that, she's crushing it, but you have to have answers for these families. Where to put them? Where's the senior living? What's the cost? How to do a trust? It's a lot, but it's well worth it. I don't recommend that for the newbies right now. I want you to stick with open houses and SOI and get on that. Okay. What slide am I on? Do it for days. Okay, so your 10 deals. Whoops. Is working now or are you doing it?
I thought it wasn't working, but then you got it to work.
Okay,
We can
there you
go
go.
back.
Okay, so here's where your 10 deals in 90 days at 10K a piece, because that's about the average commission. You can work it out however you want. So center of influence, you're gonna get 3 deals. By having, again, this is your 2-hour window a day. Open houses, easily 3. And these numbers are low. I'm telling you, you could do 10 deals just from open houses, in my opinion, if you do them right. Life events. Out of those people that you're calling on your center of influence, somebody knows somebody that's relocating, had a new baby, getting married, getting divorced. Or, you know what, the number one reason in my business, right, they hate California. They're moving out. So that's not a work-related relocation, but they just want out. So that is where, so when you look at these numbers, does that seem like super impossible? No, because the 100K seems like, oh gosh, that's just never gonna happen. But this is how you do it. Now you can break these up and say, you know what, I'm gonna do 5 and 5. 5 center of influence, 5 open houses. Because maybe you're not doing the baby boomers. So this is super interesting. Did you know the average person talks to 27 people a day? Think about it. You're talking.
Talks my partner
What?
27 times a day.
I don't know.
Right.
He's counted as one.
That's one.
That's a one.
So I thought, wow, that's really interesting. 27 conversations. You you talk to that guy out there, right? The two black guys, I love them. I call them handsome one and handsome two. They're so nice. They make you feel so good about yourself every time you walk in, don't they? I love them. How many of you went up to them and say, hey, I see you every day. I don't know if you know, but I'm in real estate.
I asked the guy if he wants to join our team.
You did?
Yeah,
That's so smart. I love them. I think he would be freaking awesome.
I know, he's ready.
Okay. Again, who do you know? So let's say you don't even have to find any new people. 27, you cut that in half. Now, here's where my math comes in, okay? Half of 27 is 10 today. A joke, people. You're the only one paying attention. So if you ask half of those people, who do you know in the next 90 days? What are those numbers gonna look like? 10 real estate conversations a day. That's your 2-hour window. Breaking it down for you. 5 days a week, 50 contacts. Now, I know when you say 50 contacts, that's 50 real estate conversations. You're having conversations already. You're just missing the link. Oh, by the way, I did not know if you knew that I sell real estate here in the LA area. Who do you know? Could you imagine if you said that to 10 people a day? What would happen to your business? Would you have a lot more leads? And is that hard to say?
No.
No. Would you be offended if somebody said that to you? No, because that's our biggest worry, right? Oh, I don't want to offend somebody. I don't want somebody to think that I'm bugging them. You know, they're not answering my calls or whatever excuse that we're making a million times over. Hey, I didn't know, you knew. And they're like, really? You were in real estate all this time? And then they hear the really sad, I just sold my house. That will get you motivated to ask every single person, who do you know? This guy is not even close to being impossible. When Frank talks all the time, you've got to make the 25 and you got to da. True. But here's where the numbers don't lie. And it's not hard. It's just a little extra conversation that you are going to have every single day. Okay, so 200 a month, 10% of those 200, what does it say? 10 of those 200 want or need to do something soon. There's your 10. Right there. If you're following, again, 2-hour window, conversations that you're already having inside and outside your office. So 10, 30 a month that need your service in the next 90 days. Now, do those numbers look like super crazy to you? Like that's just not possible? If you're really doing it 5 days a week, you're gonna get 10 a month, and that's 30 leads. Out of those 30, 10 are gonna need to do something in the next 90 days. That is as simple as it gets, people. That's it. You just continue to work with yourself on the vision, the 2-hour window, and 10 a day. Your biggest challenge is going to be, who's my 10? So let's just say, I know nobody, but you don't. But you're talking to 27 people anyways. Right? Even if it's another real estate agent, maybe they have a referral. Start thinking outside the box. Okay, so bottom line, it's a real estate conversation. Don't call it prospecting. Don't call it, I got to work on my script. It's a real estate conversation that you're capable of having. That's it. Who do you know? Making sure that everybody that you come in contact with knows that you're in real estate. I bet you right now, that you can think of at least 5, if not 10 people that you see on a monthly basis that have no idea that you sell real estate, right? At least 10. I'm going through my mind right now and I'm like, that's embarrassing. So think about that. And then you're just gonna be on fire. Okay, that's it. Perfectly on time.
I say something, just,
Yes.
for the newer agents, I would talk to my hairstylist, 7-Eleven, go and talk to the.
Yeah, that's what the memory jogger is for. So for those
Yeah.
of you that don't have it, yeah,
If you don't have clients, if you don't have people that you can talk to openly, just go and talk to these people, say to the bar, she's signing your hand, mind if I can get on to I'll give you something, you know?
Yep, no, I love it because it really
I get
helps.
most of my clients from my styles.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day she calls.
Yeah.
Every day. My bankers, they all know me.
You figure you go into the bank with
Yeah.
your bank teller, your
Yeah.
Starbucks
Starbucks,
barista,
Yeah.
where you go pick up a sandwich in
Gas
the
station.
deli,
7-Eleven.
gas station,
Every-
smoke shop. I don't know, liquor store.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, yeah, where's my daily stuff? Just kidding, everybody gotta have a little fun. There's gotta be new somewhere. So, all good. Okay, questions, concerns. Did you guys like that? Did I break it down simple enough to?
Yeah.
I really wanted you guys to feel like this is doable because I think sometimes when, you know, we come at you with, oh my gosh, you have to call 25 a day. What are you talking about? That is just, and then what am I gonna say? And like, either you're new or you're seasoned, but it's still like, what are some different things that maybe I haven't thought about that I can bring value in and get excited about calling? Because there is one thing that you need to remember is that these guys need your help. If they do have a real estate need, they're more confused than ever on this whole, if they have seen it. And that's the other thing. Don't be scared of this whole NAR thing, because I swear to you, half of the public has no idea.
Question.
Yes.
So there's a lady who passed away in our building,
Mhm.
and her unit part of inheritance is from her daughter.
Okay.
2 of them. Not so nice with each other.
Yeah, that happens.
But right now, it's been empty for over 6 months. She bought it for $60,000. Now it's like 800. So I know why they're leaving it, because tax stated at $50,000 versus, you know. But, so one time her grandson had, I called him and said, hey, I've been living in this building for over 20 years. There isn't anything in the building or anyone, I don't know. Let me sell it. Oh, my wife's aunt is a real estate agent. This is what I heard the first month. Now it's been sitting there for over 6 months.
Listed or not listed?
No, no,
It's still not
they
listed.
just left it, you know, nothing, and it, you know, a unit in the middle where it sits, you can always have problems with plumbing, blah, 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 you know, things never, especially older buildings. How do I approach it? Because you've got 2 daughters who inherited one another, and she was a Holocaust survivor, 2 very close to me in the building. When she died, one of her daughters called and said, hey, my mom died an hour ago, you want to come see her? And say her goodbye. So I went, but these sisters collapsed. You know how divorces?
Yep, I was just gonna say,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not, it's like those, but how do you kind of bring them together in a nice way to say, forget the aunt. I've been here, I'm available 24 hours because I live here.
you have a relationship with the one?
I don't have any relationship with any of them like that. I have a relationship with the mom.
Yeah.
She's happy.
Yeah, what, you said that the daughter had called you, so I
Yes.
didn't know if you
Well,
had
if it's a-
any continued.
Any.
So it's more of an acquaintance thing.
Yeah, it's, they know who I am, they know like their mom was close to me, they know I'm the HOA president. you know, they know this stuff, but it's not a relationship.
I would, if that property, you would say it's a hot property.
A condo, yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the
condo.
Westwood area or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, so what I would do is let them know that inventory is really low. And would they be open to selling it for top dollar and see if you can find, I mean, if you're the HOA president, there's gotta be people that you know, and this is where I would start, was just what we were talking about today. As you're meeting people in your building, I would just say, you know, make sure that they know that you're in real estate and say, who do you know that might be interested in buying in this building? It may have a listing coming out.
I did that at the beginning, and
And
then
it didn't work?
they didn't wanna sell. I
And
don't,
when was the beginning? Like a year
6
ago?
months ago. And like the people,
Well, are you possibly finding something that they're just not
I
gonna
think
do?
they're just not, sometimes I feel like it's their mom, because my grandma's
Yeah,
been
and it might
back there
just
for
be-
3 years.
You know, grieving the whole mom
That-
and that attachment. And that's another thing when you're dealing with the baby boomers, like my coaching client is so over the top caring and just, I mean, she literally, no joke, when she sells the home and they move mom or dad into the assisted living, she goes, I know that was weird.
That was the light went out.
Yeah, she goes and makes up the entire bedroom with fresh flowers and buys all the bedding and takes pictures from the home and just makes it feel like it's their home. It's crazy. But, so there's a lot,
Connection, it's definitely
yeah, so I would just keep them in the loop, maybe on a quarterly basis, you know, and just touch base with them and just say, you know what, we still have buyers that are looking, because what you don't want to do is kind of just put them off and then, right. So, but that's a tough one because you don't want to be too aggressive with that, you know, sensitive of a subject.
No, and they don't get it wrong. So it's like,
And that's the other thing.
that's, yeah, you can't. It's like, you have to talk to one and then talk to the other.
Right, it's
And
no
then
different than a divorce
Yeah,
listing, which
just-
you can deal with. The good thing is if you bring in the buyer, then you're controlling the whole situation. Opposed to dealing with another agent, so. Anybody else? Questions, concerns? I think they're telling us to go. They've turned off all the lights. I don't know. So do we have, questions on this thing?
Do you
It's
think,
okay. It's okay, but you can shut it off. You can go stand there and speak lunch.
do you think that because of what's gonna happen in June, July first, whatever it is?
Yeah.
This, bullshit that's going on in speak about French.
No, I like that word.
Confusing.
I'm just happy I got the whole presentation, didn't say it.
Do you think that buyers will just go to the same agent?
Say it again.
Do you